This message comes from NPR sponsor Webflow, empowering designers to build custom websites in a visual canvas without the need for code. It takes the pressure off of engineers so that marketing and design teams can manage your site faster. Webflow, the modern way to build for the web.
Public radio with us, Click and Clack, the Tappert Brothers, and we're broadcasting this week from the Rod Serling Department here at Car Talk Plaza.
Yeah, if you were listening to the show a couple of weeks ago, you heard a call from Sally, who was driving along, minding her own business in Waccabuc, New York, when she went under some high voltage wires, and suddenly she heard a swell of static, which was followed by a big white flash inside the car near the cigarette lighter.
The cigarette lighter thing threw me off. Yeah, but after considering her problem for a few minutes, the requisite few minutes, we concluded that she was probably hitting the bottle. And she was just a little, maybe a friend of our sister's or something like that. You know what I mean, right?
Well, since we didn't know what it was, we asked our listeners to help us out.
And we got a lot of interesting theories, and here are just a few of them.
This one comes from a guy named Bill. He says, "Hey, guys, you don't need Rod Serling. You need Nikola Tesla. Sally experienced what is called ball lightning. The bright flash and crackle are typical. It's a harmless but often terrifying ionization of air caused by a large static charge."
Well, here's another one. This guy didn't leave his name. I'm a pilot, he says. Occasionally, when atmospheric conditions are right, we get a thing called precipitation static building up on the windshield. When it eventually discharges, it can create quite a bright flash or sometimes dancing lights called St. Elmo's fire, and sometimes almost appears like a lightning strike. I think I mentioned St. Elmo's fire.
I think you did. By the way, I noticed that you assumed that one came from a guy.
I did. Well, I had good reason. It was an unprovable theory. I mean, duh. Anyway, here's another one from a guy named Andrew.
Yeah.
I'm a pediatrician, so I may be going out on a limb suggesting diagnosis in adults, but I wonder if this experience could be symptoms of a brain disorder.
Really?
She probably should see a neurologist.
Along those same lines, someone named Peter wrote, "What appears to be a flash of light can be a symptom of a serious retinal problem, and you should call her and urge her to see an ophthalmologist as soon as possible."
Let me see. So far, we've determined that she's got to see an ophthalmologist, a neurologist, and Nikola Tesla. and here's a compromised position from someone named Brad. It's obvious, and I'm stunned, that you were not aware that she had been scanned by the mothership, then transported to the mothership, examined, and returned in a flash of light. Get with it, boys. Well, I did consider the mothership thing.
You did?
I did, but I thought it was too far out there.
All right. Here's another one, no name given.
Okay.
I only hope and pray that your disbelief in the caller's story and the mocking response you nailed her with does not result in an intergalactic diplomatic mess. Guys, we don't need the trouble.
Well, if you want to call us about your car problem, we'll be happy to give you several implausible answers. Give us a call. The number is 888-CAR-TALK. That's 888-227-8255. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
Hi, my name is Tina, and I'm calling from Long Beach, California.
Hi, Tina.
How nice
Hi.
for you.
Now, Tina sounds like she's going to be an easy caller, that she's whatever we say, she's going to go right along with
She's
it.
going to go along with it. And she's going to have a simple question. It's going to have to do with her husband, and will be done in a minute.
You know, I don't have a husband, so I can't ask you
There
about
you go.
that. I don't even have a boyfriend I can complain about.
You don't. What a sweet person you are.
All right, well, go.
You certainly sound like a sweet person.
Well, thank you.
Are you a school teacher?
You know, I'm a piano teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have that.
You have that teacher quality about you.
That patient,
thank you.
patient sound in your voice, and we'll see if we can try your patience in the next few minutes.
Yeah.
All right.
What's the question?
I've got a 1997 Honda Civic DX. It's got a manual transmission. And in February, I drove up to Big Bear Mountain. And this mountain is really, really high. And then I drove back down, and I did something really dumb, which is that I left the car in neutral on my way down.
Why'd you do that?
Because I wasn't thinking.
That must have been scary.
Well, there was this yucky burning smell when I got down to the bottom.
Oh?
Which sort of clued me in that I had done something wrong.
Oh, so you were just doing this in the spirit of conserving gasoline or something?
No, I didn't do it I just wasn't thinking.
It was accidentally in neutral, and you didn't notice that you were flying down that mountain?
Well, she didn't notice because she had her foot on the brake the whole time.
Yeah, and you were frying all the brake pads and the brake shoes.
So then for weeks, my brakes made this yucky grinding sound, and I brought them into my mechanic, and he said that I had glazed the brakes.
Yes, you did.
So, but here's the thing. I was talking to my friend last week, telling him the story of my stupidity and what it did to my brakes, and he said, actually, it's better to do that because it is better to do damage to your brakes than to leave it in first, because he said when you're going down a steep grade and you leave your car in first, it taxes the engine.
Don't speak to this person ever again. Whoever this friend of yours is, don't ever listen to him again.
Okay.
Especially if he wants to give you, medical advice.
Yeah, don't ever.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that thing growing on the side of your head. It'll probably just fall off.
No, he's absolutely wrong.
In fact, he couldn't be more wrong.
Couldn't be more wrong. It's absolutely the worst possible thing you can do because you're destroying stuff. You could have lost your brakes completely. It could have killed you.
Yeah, you're not taxing the engine. It sounds awful, I should add, if you're in first gear or second gear coming down a steep hill.
Yeah, it does.
It sounds because the engine is screaming.
Yeah.
But that's okay because it's not, as long as it's not going so fast that it's redlining the thing.
Okay.
And you would use the brakes intermittently, but you would rely mostly on the inertia of the engine to keep the car's speed reasonable.
Yeah.
But you never want to ride the brakes all the way down. I mean, you were very lucky that all you did was glaze them.
Yeah.
The danger is that they get so hot that the brake fluid boils, and then you have no brakes.
Yeah, that would be very bad.
So your friend gave you, and you got to correct him or her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that friend gave you exactly the wrong advice. You should do exactly the opposite of what he said. I'm going to assume it was a he.
It was a he.
Of course.
It's always a he. They know everything, you know?
Yeah.
See you, Tina.
Okay, thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks for your call.
Bye.
Thanks for calling.
Bye-bye. Well,
Male answer syndrome.
Yeah, well, we give wrong answers out all the time, too. So
Yeah, but we get paid for it.
there you go.
No one was.
We're professionals.
We're professionals. This guy is just a rank amateur.
Rank amateur.
Rank
Exactly.
amateur.
1-888-CAR Talk. That's 888-227-8255. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
Hi, this is Jerry from Estes Park, Colorado.
Hi, Jerry with a G?
Jay.
With a J.
Yes.
What's up?
Well, I've got a 91 Pontiac Sunbird convertible.
Really?
My problem is putting the convertible top up and down. It seems that over a period of time, the motor has decided to sort of give up. And I've had to resort to a bit of a ballet to get the top up and down.
I know it well.
Yeah. At first, the motor, it worked fine. Then it got to the point where I had to tap on the motor. This motor is buried back inside the trunk.
Right.
And I had to tap on it, and it would start running.
Oh.
Then it got to the point where we had to hold the button to raise the top and tap on the motor at the same time. So what I've been doing by myself is jamming a stick into one of the seats and having the other end hold the button down. Then I run around to the back, tap on the motor with a stick, and I keep tapping on it
until it starts moving.
Until it starts running.
Yeah.
Then once it starts running, I run around to the side of the car, grab hold of the front edge of the top.
And you help it up.
And help it, yes. I help it come back. Yeah. And then when it's all the way down, I can remove the stick that holds the button. I believe the trouble is in the electric motor.
Yeah, because if you can bang on the motor and it works, then...
Yeah, I think my brother's going to go out on a limb here and suggest that maybe the motor's no good.
Maybe the motor is no good. No, I'm just struck by the... I mean, it would seem that the obvious thing to do is replace the motor. But and yet you have gone to these outrageous lengths to avoid doing that.
I had to do something until I could talk to you guys.
Yeah.
Well, so how long have you been waiting to talk to us, Jerry?
It's been a while. So the question is this. Do you know if the hydraulic portion and the electric motor are one assembly, or is it possible to replace the motor, the electrical part only?
I would guess it's one piece because it's not really a motor, it's a pump.
So the second question would be, would it be advisable to have the motor fixed?
No.
Or just to buy another one.
I would buy one.
I would go to a junkyard and find one whose top goes up and down.
Is this something that you would advise I have somebody replace as opposed to me trying
Absolutely
to get
not. This is a job that's within your grasp, so to speak. No, I think you should be able to replace just the motor. I mean, if you have to hit the motor to get it to run, it's likely that the motor is faulty. It probably has a bad brush or a bad commutator. And when you go to the junkyard, you'll see, or maybe you can crawl in your trunk and see how it goes together. Or better still, you could consult the repair manual.
Yeah.
Ah.
I once had a 74 Chevy Caprice Classic convertible. Mm-hmm. And, of course, the top didn't work. But this wasn't easy because the top was huge and heavy. And you could hear everything happening, but it just didn't have the oomph.
That's right.
To make it go all the way up. So I devised, I had a hook that I hooked into the frame of the top. So the top is down, right? And it's down in the well there. And I put a hook there with a rope attached to it. So then I could stand up in the front seat and I could push the button with my foot and balance myself with my knee against the seat and pull on the rope because you had to pull like straight up, so you couldn't do it sitting down.
Jerry, Jerry, and you want our advice on what's wrong with this?
Well, I'll look into one of these salvage yards, see if I can find a convertible top that goes up and down, and see what I can do for the motor.
In the meantime,
and you may come to the same conclusion that I did, which was having the top up was not all it was cracked up to be. And I finally just decided to leave the top down.
I've got a nice full car cover.
Yeah.
I can throw in there overnight.
There you go.
Well, I had the added advantage that I had huge holes in the floor. So that if it rained, the rain went right out. It was automatic drainage.
You're my kind of guy.
Hey, good luck, Jerry.
Thank you.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Well, we were a lot of help.
But it's interesting. I mean, people have brand new cars and they're so worried about them. If you have a heap, there's a lot to be said for the freedom that you have.
Exactly my position. I've never felt so liberated as the first accident that I had with my Colt Vista.
Exactly. And you said, that's it. I remember I had this car when I was working on my doctoral dissertation. So I would work many, many hours.
You couldn't have had this car that long.
I didn't have it that long during part of my doctoral dissertation. And I remember I used to be in my office typing away, working like mad. And the guy who worked on the custodian of the building used to run in and tell me, Tom, it's raining. Your top is down. And I'd say, yeah. He couldn't understand that.
Yeah, well,
he didn't have the freedom that I had.
Yeah, well, neither could we.
I knew I had a heap.
1-888 Talk. That's 888-227-8255. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
Hi, this is Klaus calling from Willimantic, Connecticut.
Hey, Klaus, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I didn't know there was a Willimantic. I always thought it was just a sign.
No. It's a town with a cute sort of ghost towny main street, and
really,
yeah.
Oh yeah, what was it? What was it famous for?
Oh, it was famous for the American Thread Company that used to have its headquarters there, but they moved to some cheap labor country, and so
yeah,
it's not famous anymore.
Vermont. Anyway, Klaus, what's going on?
I have a '94 Saturn. And it's making a worrying sound. So when I go around corners, when I make left turns, there's a sound coming from the right front wheel area. And it's sort of this vibration, this grumbling sound. It goes grrr or brrr.
Yeah.
And it only happens when I go around left turns, and it varies with the speed. So if I'm going slowly or if the turn isn't very sharp, there's no sound.
Why aren't all the questions like this?
Yeah, this is a classic case of a bad constant velocity joint.
Oh, it's just a CV joint?
The CV joint. The thing you just had replaced. No, you didn't, did you? No.
But you need one replaced. In fact, it's generally cheaper nowadays to replace the entire axle.
Uh-huh.
And what's wrong is the outer joint, which takes the abuse. is the one that's worn out.
Oh, I see.
I mean, this is one of the big disadvantages of front-wheel drive cars because that thing has to go, it's got to move up and down because when you hit bumps, the wheel moves up and down.
Right.
It's got to turn left and right, and it's got to rotate at the same time. It's a very complicated little piece of iron. But
Well, I'm working on an invention, a new constant velocity joint. I can't divulge anything. I hear you laughing, Klaus, but I'm working. I'm working on a fluid coupling constant velocity joint.
you gave it away.
No, but I mean, I'm sure it's been thought of before.
Are rubber bands involved?
Oh, son of a...
There goes that great
I
idea.
figured how to execute it was the mystery, but we uncovered that. Well, anyway, Klaus, that's what you need.
A few $100 will do it.
Okay,
Like $5.
Can I do that myself? You know, I'm writing on my PhD thesis right now.
Oh,
so
you
I'm
are?
poor.
You have a convertible?
No.
No, it's not a convertible.
Well, you can do it yourself, but it does require that you remove the axle from the steering knuckle, and it's going to probably take some tools that you don't have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
There's a lot of pieces to take off.
Yeah, and then there's a matter of putting the axle into the transmission, which is a little tricky. And if you do it wrong, I would have it done by somebody.
Oh, okay.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, look, I have a question for you, Tommy.
Yeah, sure. Go, man. Go. Fire away.
You remember last week's puzzler?
Well, did it have to do with flowing robes, people dressed in white, and a pair of vice grips?
No, that was your last hospital stay. The puzzler was about a rare event, however.
A rare event? Like us giving out a right answer?
Well, not that rare. But we'll be back with all the details and more of your calls in just a minute, so don't go away.
Okay.
Well, the front window needs a little repair. The passenger seat, that's a beanbag chair. There's a snow chain stuck on the left rear tire. Oh, Pinto Squire.
And even though monarch butterflies try to crawl back into their cocoons whenever they hear us say it, this is NPR.
This message comes from Car Talk and NPR sponsor BetterHelp, a truly affordable online counseling service. Fill out a questionnaire online and get matched with a licensed counselor best suited to your mental health needs. Whether it's depression, anxiety, or trauma, BetterHelp will help you overcome what stands in the way of your happiness. Learn more at BetterHelp.com and get 10% off your first month with promo code CARTALK. BetterHelp. Get help anytime, anywhere.
This message comes from Pineapple Street Studios' new podcast, Stay Away from Matthew McGill. The story of a man who dies alone in the woods and leaves behind a box full of wild stories. When reporter Eric Mennel finds this box, he becomes consumed by it until it totally changes his life and family. New episodes are available every week wherever you get your podcasts. Binge all episodes exclusively on the new Odyssey app. That's AUDACY.
The news has been hard to escape. So take a deep breath and join us for NPR's All Songs Considered. It's more than a music discovery podcast, it's relief, with new episodes every Tuesday and Friday as we share the week's best new albums and lots of music to calm the nerves. Hear All Songs Considered wherever you get podcasts.
Hi, we're back. You're listening to Car Talk with us, Click and Clack, the Tappert Brothers, and we're here to talk about cars, of course, car repair, and the answer to last week's puzzler. And this came from a fellow named Lee Hull from Westfield, Indiana. And pay attention because there were lots of hints and obfuscations. None of them were mine, I don't think. I may have thrown in something, little thing here or there, but I think this pretty much came pre-obnubulated. And here's what Lee wrote.
Obnubulated?
Yes. I've been using increase your word power, and obnubulated is a synonym for obfuscate.
Ooh, I like it. Yeah, okay.
After an enjoyable Saturday of tooling around town in my old Lincoln Mark V, listening to Car Talk and running errands and such, my wife and I were preparing for bed. I said to her, I saw something happen today that I've not seen in probably 10 years. Hint number one. That's great, honey. Good night, she said, rolling over, but I was persistent. You know, now that I think about it, I said, I've only seen this happen maybe 4 or 5 times in my life, and every time I've been on the road driving. I could tell that her snoring was faked. I went on. In fact, I knew when I left the house this morning that it was going to happen. I just didn't know exactly where. She opened one eye to give me an intimidating stare. It happened just as we were passing over the Main Street Bridge. Blatant obfuscation, says in my notes here. Well, why didn't you say something, she said. Oh, you're old enough to have seen it a few times yourself, I'll bet. It really isn't that exciting. Now I had her full attention, but still, I wouldn't tell what I'd seen. Come to think of it, it's happened a few times, and I didn't even notice it myself. The sad thing is, I'm pretty sure our son will never see it happen, and most kids today never will either. What happened that day when Lee was driving his car?
Somebody got a flat tire.
Pretty good.
Close?
Yeah, close.
Really?
You'll be amazed at how close it is. What Lee saw that day was his odometer go to all nines. Because he has an older car,
right.
It went to 99999 and then all zeros.
Oh, yeah, that doesn't happen anymore.
No, because all the newer cars have 6-digit displays, and they can go to 999,999 before it turns over. And that's why no one's going to see their odometer get to all zeros again. And I think that we should make odometers that you can take with you so that you can move from one car to the next. So you've got 200,000 miles in that car. You can take it and move it. It should be a plug-in thing.
So you'll know how far you've been.
Exactly.
Throughout this lifetime.
Sure.
That you spent driving around doing mostly nothing.
You've probably driven 1 million miles.
Oh, no.
At least in the cars you own, it seems like 1 million.
It's like 1 million.
Anyway, who's our winner?
The winner is John Boyer from Manhattan, Kansas. And for having his answer selected at random from all the correct answers that we got, John is going to get a $25 gift certificate to the Shameless Commerce Division at cartalk.com. With this $25 gift certificate, he can get a copy of our CD, Why You Should Never Listen to Your Father When It Comes to Cars, which is a great gift for Dad on Father's Day.
Just like it was last year or the year before. It comes in handy in case you forgot or your father forgot. Get him another one.
And don't forget, this is the right time to order it because you might get it by next Father's Day.
Well, anyway, we'll have a brand new puzzler coming up in the third half of today's show. So try to stay awake. In the meantime, if you have a question about your car or anything else, you can call us at 888-CAR-TALK. That's 8882-2782-55. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
Hi, I'm Christy from Rochester, New York.
Hi, Christy.
I.E.?
If I tell you I'm from California, will that help you guess better that I was...
K-R-Y-S-T-I.
T-E-E?
My family's Norwegian. Does that help you anymore?
K-R.
That's good.
Norwegian.
S-T-I-E.
S-T-I. I just took the N off Kristen. See, I decided as a teenager to be more economical in my spelling, and I just lopped the N off.
Yeah, but you changed your whole name.
Yeah.
From Kristen to Christy. Oh,
well, that's what I go by. My official name is still Kristen, but nobody calls me that unless they're very, very angry with me.
It's funny. That's the one. I mean, I have had in my life several wives, as you may know. And the only commonality between them...
Thomas.
They're completely different people except for the use of Thomas.
Yes.
When either of them said or says Thomas, I'm in deep doo-doo.
Oh, yes.
Well, I'll tell you, that's where one of our cars is right now. It's not just broken, it's in, deep doo-doo.
Oh.
My husband's in the full-time ministry, so people keep giving us cars, used cars, that they're done with. Now, normally it's a commuter car, so these are, really done with cars.
Yeah.
So this one is an 84 Nissan Maxima.
Oh.
So it started losing power, so that when you were driving, it felt like Fred Flintstone or something. You weren't going anywhere. You'd push on the gas, and if you ever slowed down, it would never accelerate. So we had a very fun time coming back from a romantic weekend away with this car. We couldn't stop for the bathroom. We couldn't stop for food because if you slow down, it just dies. So we had that repaired. Now, I've got all my husband's repaired. This is my husband's car.
Yeah.
So it had spark plugs then. Then it had a thermostat. Then it was running too rich. Well, then it wouldn't start. So we thought it was the battery. The guy from the gas station came and towed it. He's the nicest person. Now, we used to have a mechanic who wasn't so social and nice, but he really knew cars. Now we have this new guy who's very, very nice. and he just redecorated the station. But I don't think he knows a lot about cars. I hope he's not listening to your show
He's into
today.
marketing. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
He's just a really sweet guy.
Decorating.
I complimented him on the station how much nicer it looked. He got rid of that dumpy old couch covered with grease stains, and and then he told me he'd given it to his mother. I felt kind of bad. But anyway, he's the nicest person, so he tows the car off, says, I'll get right on it, new battery, everything's okay.
Yeah.
Well, we get the car back about 6 weeks later, $600 poor, and the thing is still not working.
I got you.
So my husband came home and said, I'm sorry, I spent $600, the car is still broken. I'm, going ballistic. Call that mechanic, tell him, blah, blah, blah. So my husband says, I called him, and we had a really nice chat, and he worked really hard, and it's so important, to have a good relationship with him, and we both feel really good about it
I
now.
can just see this conversation happening.
I can picture Dan Aykroyd.
I mean, here's a minister talking to a mechanic / interior decorator.
Yes.
If ever there was a touchy-feely, loving, it must have been a sweet, wonderful encounter.
It must have been a deeply moving conversation. But
I had a touchy-feely experience with one of my customers.
Yeah, but that involved a stick.
He jumped over the counter and was trying to touch my tonsils.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hon, I'm not deeply moved, and I don't feel good about this. This is a lot of money, and the car is still sitting here. Do you know what's wrong with this?
We know exactly what's wrong with this car.
Yeah, of course we do.
Of course we do.
Oh,
Christy,
so
come on.
Okay, go ahead.
We have no idea.
Well, I'll tell you.
I have several ideas.
I have
actually.
ideas, and one of them
I get ideas.
One of them has to do with the most recent trip that you took, where you couldn't shut the thing off, and it had low power, and all that stuff. This is what happened to my Dodge Colt Vista before I took ownership of it. The previous owner was driving it. The thing began to lose power. Instead of recognizing that it was losing power and she wasn't getting anywhere fast, she has the gas pedal floored, and the thing goes from 50 to 40 to 30. She finally doesn't make it to her destination, and the car shuts off, and she tows it to us, and we try to fix it, and we can't. We realize that the valves are burned out, and the head gasket is blown. We put a new head gasket on, and alas, it doesn't start. And we finally realized that what's wrong with it is what's wrong with your car. What was wrong with it? In that your catalytic converter is plugged up.
Catalytic converter.
What they need to do is to remove the exhaust system.
Okay.
And in doing so, they will allow the exhaust products to escape, and the engine will start right up and run.
Really?
In order for the thing to start, you got to have the spark, you got to have the gasoline, but you also got to have air. And if the back end of it is plugged up, air won't go through the engine because it can't get out, so it doesn't go in.
Okay. So how much more is this going to cost?
No, this is a no-cost test. This guy, out of the goodness of his heart, is going to remove the converter and run the engine, and when he figures out that that's what fixed it, he will buy you a converter for free.
He ought to, for heaven's sakes. We're like their bread and butter over there.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, guys. I'll give this a try.
Good luck.
Good luck, Kristen.
I'm feeling good about this now, too.
I am, too. I feel much better.
Bye-bye, guys.
See you later.
So long.
See, it's nice to have that kind of an ad. I mean,
wasn't she nice?
Yeah, well, I'm sure her husband is just as nice, if not nicer. I mean,
in a normal relationship, they would be fighting like hell. I mean, here's a guy trying to make a car work. It doesn't work. The guy who fixes it charges him $600 for doing basically everything wrong. And instead of yelling at the guy,
he forgives him.
Forgives him, my son. And goes over and says, we had a very nice talk. And his poor wife, Kristen, you'd think she'd be hitting him over the head with a rolling pin. Instead, she's laughing with us.
She can take a joke.
That's really sweet.
It is.
It's really wonderful.
I need about 500 customers like that.
Shocking. It's absolutely shocking.
888 Car Talk. That's 888-227-8255. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
Hi, this is David from Seattle.
David, how you doing, man?
Yeah.
I'm doing good, unless I work on my car.
So what's going on, man?
I've got a 76 Mercedes, carbureted.
A Mercedes what? What number is on it?
Engine's a 110 921. It's a 2800 cc, 6-cylinder.
6-cylinder, okay.
6, okay.
Shoot.
Basically, it was running a little rough on the high power settings. Basically, couldn't climb a hill. I took it home. I was going to do this and that, and I ended up taking the distributor off. Noticed there was a little grime on the rotor and the contact points. Took some memory, cleaned it off a little bit, stuck it back on, hadn't started since. This has been a couple of months.
You took the distributor out to do this?
Oh, the distributor cap off.
Oh, and it hasn't started since?
It hasn't started since.
When you try to start it, does it go boom, 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 boom?
It depends on where I've moved the distributor, because since then I've done a lot of things.
Wait.
Which is bad.
Why would you have moved the distributor?
Because it wouldn't start.
It wouldn't start, and in my ultimate wisdom, I was thinking, well, maybe it's jump time, so I'll just loosen and move a little bit.
So you did two things. First, you cleaned off the rotor and the cap.
Right.
And then it didn't start?
Exactly.
And then you started playing with the position of the distributor?
Yes.
Did you do anything else?
Probably a big
Did you take the cylinder head off or anything?
Yeah, tell us everything here.
Come on, fess up, man.
No, actually I didn't. I haven't taken anything apart, per se.
See, we need to ascertain your competence level here.
Have you ever done that before?
What's the most complex thing you've ever done to a car? Not necessarily this one, but some car.
I do the minor things, the water pumps, the timing chain replacement, things like that.
That's all right.
No, that's good.
You're not a complete
hopeless case.
Well, that's an opinion, though.
Yeah.
So you've taken off a distributor cap many times.
Absolutely.
And you're quite sure that you put it back on correctly.
I'm 100% positive.
And you're 100% positive that you put the rotor back on correctly.
Yes.
It did go into the notch.
Absolutely.
That's important.
Yeah,
and you can't
and more importantly, too bad.
I know.
Yeah.
But you say it ran poorly the day before you did this. It must have been running pretty badly for you to go ahead and start turning the distributor.
It was running terrible, actually. Going up a hill, you could barely get up the hill.
Boy. Well, let's run down the list here.
Well, yeah. Take your shoes off and relax.
I would say that this car has about 294,000 miles on it.
At least.
At least. You have no idea.
The odometer stopped who knows when.
Have you ever, in the last maybe 100,000, done a compression test?
Yes. I actually took it to probably 2 years ago, took it to a Mercedes place, paid a lot of money.
Yeah.
And they got it running because I had carburation problems at that time.
Yeah.
And I hit a brick wall, couldn't figure it out, and took it there, and it was running perfect. Actually, it ran perfect.
And at that time...
Until the last time you did something to it. What did you do? Come on, fess up, man.
It basically just degraded, and I knew that I had to do some maintenance on it.
Well, I think my brother's on the right track. I think what we'd want you to do is a compression test.
Okay.
We've got to start there, otherwise, who knows? You could be running around on following red herrings for a long time.
Right. I've checked the obvious, the fuel, the spark. I'm getting all those.
You're getting, and you know what good spark looks like.
Now, that's a very good question. I did get spark, but no, I don't know what a good spark looks like.
Well, you need to go look at a good spark.
Okay.
On some other car.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, you can go ahead and test the coil, for example, if you wanted to.
I did that with a meter, and I don't know if that's
No, that's good. No meter would do it.
Okay, and it checked out within spec.
Well, I mean, if you've got spark, then the coil's working.
Right, but it may be, and this thing is...
And the test that you did is not going to tell you if it's working well enough.
Yes, correct.
Well, it won't because you can't test the electronic ignition components. This thing has electronic ignition.
Oh, it does?
It doesn't? Does it have points?
Yes.
It does?
Yes, it does. It has points.
You're sure of that? You've seen points, so if you say they have points, it has points, we're with you. And that's good. That's a good answer. David, that is an excellent answer.
Yeah, without that, you were sunk, man.
Without that, you were headed for $4,000.
So you may have spark, but it's not good spark.
I see.
Yeah,
And if you don't have good spark and you have a points and condenser system, then you may need to replace. And a faulty condenser.
Oh, a condenser will give you exactly the symptoms that you've described.
That's amazing.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yes, it would.
Have you led a good, clean life, Dave?
I've tried.
Try, but
that's it, man. Replace the points and condenser, and I'll bet you it's all going to be.
And if you can figure out where the distributor was before you moved it, you may run again.
Right, exactly.
And even though the host of Antiques Roadshow heaves Martha Washington's chamber pot at his radio whenever he hears us say it, this is NPR.
This message comes from Pineapple Street Studios' new podcast, Stay Away from Matthew McGill, the story of a man who dies alone in the woods and leaves behind a box full of wild stories. When reporter Eric Mennel finds this box, he becomes consumed by it until it totally changes his life and family. New episodes are available every week wherever you get your podcasts. Binge all episodes exclusively on the new Odyssey app. That's AUDACY.
How do we reinvent ourselves? And what's the secret to living longer? I'm Anoush Zamarodi. Each week on NPR's TED Radio Hour, we go on a journey with TED speakers to seek a deeper understanding of the world and to figure out new ways to think and create. Listen now.
Hi, we're back. You're listening to Car Talk with us, Click and Clack, the Tappert brothers. And we're here to discuss cars, car repair, and the new, I'd have to call it, for lack of a better term, mathematical puzzler, I guess.
Is it one of the string series? Magic Hat series?
Oh, I had forgotten.
Yo-Yo series?
I had forgotten about all of those. I have to revive those.
Mathematical. Okay,
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well,
I like those.
okay. Yeah, anyway, who sent this in? Some guy named Norm Leiden from Franktown, Colorado. Okay?
Yeah.
And you're going to participate in this puzzle, even though you don't know. There'll be
Okay.
a part for you. When your lines come up, I'll cue you.
Okay.
Okay?
I'm impressed that this is written on a piece of paper with a pencil.
I am too. That's why I chose it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No emails for this guy.
Yeah. Let's start boycotting emails.
The date on it is 1974, but I'm a little behind.
Oh, did they have pencils then? Yeah, okay, go ahead. I'm ready to participate.
Okay, and I'll just do it the way he did it because I like it. 3 different numbers are chosen at random and written on each of 3 slips of paper. The slips are then placed face down on the table. You got it? The objective is to choose the slip upon which is written the largest number. And here are the rules. You can turn over any slip of paper, and you can look at the amount written on it. If for any reason you think this is the largest, you're done. You keep it. Otherwise, you discard it and you can't go back and get it. And you turn over a second slip. Again, if you think this is the one with the biggest number, you keep that one and the game is over. And if you don't, you discard that one.
And you're stuck with the third one.
And you're stuck with the third one.
Got it.
Okay? Mm-hmm. And the numbers written on the slips could be anything from anything to anything. Any number at all. And there is no way, obviously, to know. So I present you with this little game, and I present it also to Vinny. And here's where your part comes in.
I got it.
You say, well, that's pretty stupid. Go ahead.
Well, that's pretty stupid.
Your chance of getting the highest number is 1 in 3.
The chance of getting your highest number is 1 in 3.
Vinny, on the other hand, says, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think I could do better than that. Now, is Tommy right, or is Vinny the moron that we think he is? Is there a strategy by which you can improve the odds from 1 in 3? Now, if you think you know the answer, write that answer on a postcard or teach it to a fully trained rare Amazon parrot and send it in an Art Deco cage with installed tree branch and a 6-month supply of organic birdseed. Puzzler Tower. We're really going for the high-end stuff now. Puzzler Tower, Car Talk Plaza, Box 3500, Harvard Square, Cambridge,
Fair City.
Matt 02238. Attention, Vinny. Or, of course, you can email your answer from cartalk.com. If you'd like to call us, the number is 1-888-CAR-TALK. That's 888-227-8255. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
Hi, this is Mary calling from Minneapolis.
Mary?
Yes.
Wow.
I have an ethical question about selling my car.
Okay.
I'm selling a Honda Accord, and I took it to the dealer for like a 40-point, one of those free inspections. And
Nothing's free.
They said that I needed to replace the water pump because it was leaking, and at the same time, I might as well put in a timing belt as well. So then I took it to another mechanic who said, well, your water pump isn't leaking, it's seeping. And he said, I wouldn't repair it, I would just sell it as is. So my question to you is, do I sell it like that? Is that going to be a serious problem down the road for the new owner?
Yes.
Or should I repair it?
How many miles are in this car?
137,000.
Are you trading it in or selling it privately?
I'm selling it to a private party, and that's why I don't want to sell it to them if there's a major problem.
How private?
Well, hopefully it's nobody that I know.
Oh, so you haven't found a buyer yet?
No, not yet. I want to get it in good running shape before I sell it.
First of all, I think it's commendable that you went and did this 40-point check before selling it. That was very nice of you.
Oh, well, thank you.
But they're going to do the same thing, except the buyer or the potential buyer is going to do a 400-point check.
Yeah.
There's always this give and take kind of bargaining thing that goes on. You know, it's like buying a goat. You know.
How many goats have you bought in your lifetime?
Not many, but I'm ready.
But buy one goat.
but you might want to wait until you have a ready, willing, and able buyer.
Yeah.
And then you could say, look, why don't you just take the car and get it checked out?
Uh-huh.
By whomever you want.
Let's assume, for the purposes of argument, that the potential new buyer finds 5 other things wrong and doesn't notice the leaking water pump.
What does Mary do?
What does Mary do?
Well, it depends on what those things are.
What if they amount to enough money to potentially queer the deal? And one more will be enough to break the camel's back.
Yeah.
Then what would you do, Mary?
Oh, then you have to lie.
I won't lie. I'm not going to lie.
No, of course you can't lie.
Mary's not going to lie.
You have to lower the price to accommodate the cost of the repairs.
Right.
And I think that the honorable thing, I mean, do you want to sell your soul for $500?
No, she doesn't.
How about $650?
Maybe 1,000. No,
$1,000 we can talk.
Yeah, and
souls are cheap these
And that's
days.
what I always, boil it down to.
On the other hand.
Yeah. Here's the devil speaking. I can see his horns from here.
No. Quite the contrary. I'm thinking when people check out a car, the number and importance of the things that they find wrong with it will determine whether or not they want to buy it. And rather than have them find out yet another thing, wouldn't it be nice to say, and I just replaced the timing belt and the water pump, and it cost me $500.
Right.
Except they're not going to assume that you did this out of the goodness of your heart. They're going to assume you did it because it broke and you had no choice, and you are doing to the car the bare minimum. If, on the other hand, you present the car as a viable means of transportation, you say, oh, by the way, I think it needs a water pump. There's a small. I saw a small leak when it was in at the doctor, and it will need the pump fairly soon. Why don't I just knock $500 off the price?
You know who we need here? Max Bazerman.
Oh,
Max Bazerman would be able to tell us whether people would be more influenced by the fact that you already did it, or more influenced by the fact that you divulged.
Well, I'm going to predict what Max is going to say. He's going to predict that if you do it, they're going to assume that you had to.
Yeah.
And if you divulge it, it's something you clearly didn't have to do.
Yeah.
And I think you gain more by divulging.
Call Max, will you? Harvard Business School.
All right.
Yeah, you can call him Mary. He's got a direct line.
Yeah, just call the Harvard Business School and ask for Max Bazerman and ask him. We'll do the same thing because I'm curious to know.
All right.
But be prepared to knock some serious dough off the price.
Well,
when they find the other things that are wrong with it, that these, it may be that this was the only thing the 40-point checkup turned up.
Yes, that is correct.
Well, so if that's all there is, then add $500 to the price and then deduct it.
You had to sneak that in, didn't you? You couldn't help yourself.
Good luck, Mary. I'm sure you'll do the right thing.
Yes, I will.
All right, see you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Good luck.
I couldn't help myself. The
sleaze just leaks out,
1-888-CAR TALK. That's 888-227-8255. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
Hi, this is Pete from Fort Collins, Colorado.
Hey, Pete. What's going on, man?
Well, I got a 93 Ford Escort wagon, and it has no rear suspension. Well, it does, but it's done. It's killed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was told I need new springs and new shocks, but I'm poor and I can't afford them. Do I really need to replace these?
Well, they're good to have. You've been carrying heavy stuff in this poor little Escort?
Oh, man. I was hoping you wouldn't ask. I'm a hang glider pilot. So I have a huge rack on top of my car. It's about 20 feet long, and it weighs about 70 pounds. And I'd say 4 times a month I have to put a hang glider in that, so that's about 130 pounds on the car. My dad says I'm the one that killed the suspension because of this rack. But, I mean, that doesn't even weigh what a human weighs.
I've had mothers-in-law who weigh much more than that.
Exactly.
Oh,
Well, do you?
I
when you have
had.
the hang glider will give you some lift, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of folded up, but I guess I could make it do that.
Yeah. Well, the only reason you need to replace the springs is if they're broken.
Well, they're broke. I can hear them. They go clunk, clunk every time.
Oh,
I
they
go
are
over a
broken.
pothole.
Oh, you
need springs.
You need springs and struts.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and you need to do it for a lot of different reasons. But the most important one is that the lack of struts, either front or rear, is going to cause you to have poor tire-to-road contact.
Oh.
In other words, have you seen cars driving down the road where the tires look like they're bouncing like a basketball on the road?
Mm-hmm.
And those cars don't have struts anymore, or shocks. They're all worn out.
And when it bounces up and down like that, obviously if you try to stop, part of the time the wheel's not hardly touching the ground. So you don't have good stopping.
Or steering. So your car becomes dangerous not only for you, but for everyone else who's on the road at the same time.
Oh, all right.
So you
it's
gotta-
a safety thing. Then
you
I'll
gotta-
replace it.
It's definitely a safety thing. There's no question about it.
Not to mention the fact that every time the tire bounces up and down on the road like that, you're wearing the tires out.
Oh.
So do it, man.
Did I kill the car?
I don't
is it
think
okay
so.
if I keep the rack on the car?
Yeah, that didn't
No,
wreck.
that
That didn't wreck the springs.
No. Okay,
No,
good.
they just wore out.
All right.
Yeah, nothing else has happened to this car?
No, not really.
Oh, the other shoe's going to fall. See you, Pete.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Good luck.
Hi. 1-888-CAR TALK or 1-888-227-8255. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
Hi, it's Max Baserman.
Get out.
Hey.
I heard you had a question for me.
Yeah, we do. And I figured you were the only guy who would really be able to answer it.
Wow.
We just had a caller, Mary, who has a Accord with a lot of miles on it, and she's selling it. She brought it to a dealer to find out what kind of shape it was in so she could be honest with a potential buyer. And they discovered that it needs about $500 of work. It needs a water pump and a timing belt. The question is this: would the potential buyer be more likely to be favorably disposed to this car if she has it fixed first and says, and by the way, I just spent $500 to replace the water pump and the timing belt? Or would they be more favorably disposed to buy it if she said, and by the way, I happen to know that it needs a water pump and a timing belt, and I'm going to knock $500 off the price?
And you can get it fixed by your mechanic or not get it fixed, your choice.
Wow. So option A is fix it. Option B is to dock the price by how much it would cost to fix it.
Yes.
And Mary wants to maximize how honest she appears to the buyer.
Or she wants the buyer to buy it.
Right. She wants to maximize
the likelihood that the buyer will buy it.
Right.
So between A and B, I think I'll go with C. So it seems to me that
I knew this was coming.
I knew this was going to happen.
So it seems to me that if you just fix it, nobody's interested in what happened to your car in the past unless you actually know about cars. And most of us are clueless about cars.
Yeah.
We just want to know that it wasn't in a very big accident.
I agree with that.
And then, two, when you tell me that these things are broken, but here's $500, I get a little bit concerned that it's by the time I actually get out of the repair shop, it's going to be $800
or more. Yeah.
Yeah. So if Mary's pretty confident about this $500, I think that I would tell them and then offer to send the car to get those repairs done and to pay the bill.
Oh, so whatever it is.
Exactly.
Oh.
What do you think?
Yeah. No, I agree.
Option C.
Option C is, well, look, you take the car. If you buy the car.
I just found out that it needs a water pump and a timing belt, and I am going to get it. If you buy it, I will go and get it fixed and deliver it to you with a new water pump and a new timing belt.
Exactly. Or if you want to take it to, Good News Garage and have it done, I'll pick up the bill.
And they'll say, take it any place but there.
Exactly. Any place but that.
Right.
So what do you think?
Yeah.
What do we think? You're the expert. We don't know what we think.
Max, I'm with you, man.
All right.
Yeah, no, I think C is right, and we hadn't even gotten that far.
Excellent.
So is it? Can we generalize this at all, Max? Can we say that whenever you're trying to sell a used car, it would be good to have something that is broken, that you didn't fix, and you are going to promise to fix it before you deliver the car?
See, we're really getting car specific. I would say that when you're selling something, it's nice to increase your credibility.
Yes.
I like it.
Great.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks for taking my call.
Hey. Thanks, Max.
See ya.
Okay.
See
Take
ya.
care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, I learned something from that.
Well, it's good to have an expert at your fingertips like that.
Yeah, well, now that Jim Davis is retired, we might not have easy access to him.
No, I mean,
so Max is going to have to start to bone up on chemistry.
I mean, I'm a little embarrassed that all the experts that we call on are from Harvard and not from our alma mater.
Well, we're going to work on that.
Yeah.
Well, it's happened again. You've squandered one of your only free hours of the week listening to Car Talk. Our esteemed producer is Doug the Subway Fugitive, not a slave to fashion, Bongo Boy, Frogman Berman. Our associate producers are David the Calves of Belleville Green and Catherine Frau Blucher Fenolosa. Our web lackey is Doug the Old Gray Mare, assisted by Connie Britchford. Our engineer is John Cartman Perotti. Our theme music is by David Dog Grisman, and our technical, spiritual, and menu advisor, just back from his triumphant rematch at the Trenton Transmission Rebuilders Tapas and Tango Tournament, is John Bugsy Lawler. Our public opinion casts sideways glances at their meat cleavers whenever they hear us say it. This is NPR.
This message comes from NPR sponsor Data IQ, an AI and machine learning platform designed to give everyone in the